Okay, so here's the thing we're not considering.
Okay.
We're always like, Selena can't be the best assassin. What if all the other assassins legitimately suck? Chapter 37. There was no one else to carry out this task. Not with LA soldiers and ambassadors still on their way to retrieve Nehemia's body from where it lay interred in the royal plot.
And they interred it?
What does that mean specifically?
They buried it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I guess so they might not have embalming.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know when embalming started. I'm done figuring out the timeline.
I'm sure by the timelines of what we have.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was embalming.
Something that you could do to preserve a body. Yeah.
But, like, let me correct that. Was embalming used in
funeral
Britain?
practices?
Because, of course, look, I'm going to say it's based. There's no evidence to say it's not based off of England. Because that's, like, the go-to.
Oh, and also it's a big
empire. Yeah, big colonizing empire. Anyways, but that's besides the point. Continue, dearest.
As Selena opened the door to the room that had smelled of blood and pain, she saw that someone had cleaned away all traces of gore. The madman, they've really got that blood out of the ground.
Room of blood and pain, and then you didn't have to say that had smelled. She can just call it the room of blood and pain. Like, that's okay. Continue.
The mattress was gone, and Selena paused in the doorway.
Was the bed frame gone? Just the mattress.
Can I have 5 sentences? It has not been 5 sentences since the chapter began.
I am not even hyped up on sugar this time.
It has not been 5 sentences.
All right. Continue.
The mattress was gone, and Selena paused in the doorway as she surveyed the skeleton of the bed frame. See, if you had kept your mouth shut, you would have had your answer answered.
So if you make a comment, can I make a comment?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
No. 5 sentences. I'm the reader. I can pause whenever I want, and I know when I'm going to pause. It's not the same as being interrupted constantly. This is going to take 2 hours, Beth. Ahem.
We were staring each other down to see who'd break first.
Perhaps it would be best to leave Nehemia's belongings to the people who came to bring her back to Elway. But would they be
would.
But would they be friends of hers?
You're not a friend of hers.
Yeah, you're not a friend of hers.
Not really.
And you act as if like Nehemia didn't know anyone in her own goddamn country. You know?
How very self-centered of you.
I'm her only friend in the world. Oh. The thought of strangers touching Nehemia's belongings, packing them away like any other objects, made her wild with grief and rage. Almost as wild as she'd been earlier today, when she walked into her own dressing room and ripped every gown off its hanger, pulled out every pair of shoes, every tunic, every ribbon and cloak, and thrown them into the hallway. She burned the dresses that reminded her most of Nehemia, the dresses she'd worn at the lessons, at the meals, and on the walks around the castle.
So that's every dress she owns.
It was only when Philippa came in to scold her about the smoke that Selena had relented.
The living room, practically on fire. Philippa, the smoke. Young lady, the smoke.
Allowing her to take whatever clothing survived and donate it. But it had been...
Donate it where?
Smoky-ass clothes.
No, but, like, does it go to a theater?
Yes.
Okay, is that where we're donating it to a theater?
We actually have the DI here.
Well, I just mean, like, the clothing she has, if she donates it, you think, okay, that's going to a charity. So, who is a charity going to be helping who can be like, oh, yes, I need this dress? That's, like...
I think they'd
crazy.
They'd upscale it.
They'd upscale it?
They'd upcycle it.
They'd upcycle it, okay.
Try to get the smoke stench off of it.
Okay.
But it had been too late to stop Selena from burning the dress she wore the night of Kale's birthday. That gown had burned first. So I thought this was about Nehemia, but it's about Kale, actually?
That was weird. This is supposed to be about dresses that remind her of...
Nehemia.
I'm not sure we have any reason to think that dress reminds her of Nehemia.
Except that Carol knew something was going on with Nehemia and he didn't tell her. Blah, blah, blah. And
Once again, she gets distracted by other things. Not the
just
true
like
source
me
of her
for
rage.
real. And when her dressing room was empty, she shoved a bag of gold into Philippa's hands and told her to go buy some new clothes.
Wow.
Philippa had only given her a sad look, another thing that made Selena sick, and left. It took Selena about an hour to carefully pack up Nehemia's clothes and jewelry. Only an hour? And she tried not to dwell too long
It's
on
not
the
that hard to
memories.
pack up when everything's nicely put away because you organize it
Oh, that's so true.
daily. Because your mistress is a slob. An 18-year-old who doesn't clean up. Shocking.
That accompanied each item. No, this is Nehemia stuff they're cleaning up.
Oh. My bad.
All the lotus blossom smell that clung to everything. I thought it was blood. When she had
No, that was cleaned
settled
up.
all the trunks, she went to Nehemia's desk, which was still littered with papers and books as if the princess had only stepped outside for a moment. As she reached for the first paper, her eyes fell upon an arc of scars around her right hand, the teeth marks of the riddle rack.
Yay!
The paper was covered with scribbles in Elway and and word marks. Countless word marks, some in long lines, some forming symbols like the ones Nehemia had traced underneath Selena's bed all those months ago. How had the king's spies not taken these? How had he not even bothered to have her room searched?
You're
She
an idiot if you think
stacking them
that,
into a pile.
Selena.
Perhaps she could learn some more things from the marks, even if Nehemia were dead. She made herself think. Nehemia is dead. Selena looked at the scars on her hand again and was about to turn from the desk when she spotted a familiar-looking book half tucked into the papers.
If it's The Walking Dead, I'm going to hit something.
It was the book from Davis's office.
Oh, phew. Good.
This copy was older, more damaged.
Okay, so
but
it wasn't the book from
book.
Davis's office.
Same kind of book.
But it wasn't the book.
Same publisher.
Same publisher. Not the same edition, though.
And written on the inside cover was a sentence in word marks, such basic marks that even Selena could understand them.
Because of all the classes she had that we never saw.
Do not trust, The final symbol, though a mystery, it looked like a Y
There's
on
M
it.
dashes in layered marks? They have M dashes?
Yeah.
Whoa.
But it looked like a wyvern, the royal seal. I thought it was a wyvern. But it's
No,
the
it's a
royal
seal.
seal.
It's
but it's
a
wyvern.
seal. It's a seal.
Oh. Come on, Andre. Of course, she shouldn't trust the King of Otterland. She flipped through the book, scanning for any information. Nothing. And then she turned to the back cover, and there Nehemia had written
Something.
It is only with the eye that one can see rightly. It was scribbled in the common tongue, then in Elway, then in some other languages that Selena didn't recognize. Different translations, as if Nehemia had wondered whether the riddle held any meaning in another tongue. The same book, the same riddle, the same writing on the back. An idol's lord is nonsense, Nehemia had said. But Nehemia ...
Was dead.
Nehemia and Archer led the group with which Davis had belonged. Nehemia had known Davis, known him, and lied about the riddle, and Nehemia had promised that there would be no more secrets between them.
Girl, you shut up.
Pot calling kettle black.
Exactly.
Promised and lied. Promised and deceived her. She fought down a scream as she tore through every other piece of paper on the desk. Oh, every other piece, okay. In the room, nothing. What else had Nehemia lied about? It is only with the eye. ...
It is only with the eye that you are nothing but a coward. Combine those two thoughts she keeps
It
having.
is only with the eye, and you are nothing. I spy with my little eye something that's nothing but a coward. Ooh. Selena touched her necklace. Nehemia had known about the tomb. She had been feeding information to this group and had encouraged Selena. If she had been feeding information to this group and had encouraged Selena to look into the eye carved into the wall, then Nehemia had been looking too. But after the duel, she returned the eye of Elena to Selena. If Nehemia had needed it, she would have kept it. Hey, I'm just saying, Elena has two eyes. That's all I'm saying. Or maybe she's a Cyclops.
Yeah, you forget one eye is prosthetic.
No, Cyclops. Just one big one big blinker in the middle of the head.
I see. You know, she hasn't been described enough, so it's quite possible.
Elephant style.
Actually, her eye color is probably the one thing that has been described. Her eyes.
Her eye color. I know you wanted me to stay. If she had been feeding information of me in L.A. If Nehemia had needed it, she would have kept it. And Archer hadn't mentioned knowing anything about this. Yeah. Unless it wasn't the eye the riddle referenced, because... By the ward. By the ward, Selena breathed and rushed out of the room. Section break. Mort hissed as she appeared in the door of the tomb.
Is it your eyes, Mort? I need your eyes, Mort.
Plan on disturbing any other sacred objects tonight? Carrying a satchel full of papers and books that she'd grabbed from her rooms, Selena merely patted his head as she walked by.
How condescending.
His bronze teeth clanked against each other as he sought to bite her.
I need him to get steadily more and more vicious. He's at his wit's end with her.
He passed. The tomb was filled with moonlight bright enough to see by, and there, directly across the tomb from the eye is the wall, and the other eye, golden and gleaming. Damaris. It was Damaris, the sword of truth. Gavin could see nothing but what was right.
I thought you said demolish.
Demolish! Yes, babe, slay demolish! Okay, Phil, make some white noise for me.
Slay your enemies! Slay! That's all I've got. No, wait, I've also got, on a similar note, he killed hundreds of innocent children. Slay!
Slay! Okay. The Damaris. It is only with the eye that one can see rightly. Okay, so I was wrong about Selena, the Eye of Elena, being connected to the riddle, it seems like.
Yeah, but what we were saying was that...
it seems like she should have at least thought about it.
Yeah, it's that... maybe it's not the Eye of Elena, but why are they instantly going, no, it's not that, it's the one eye.
Yeah. Why am I so blind? Because you have a horrendous awful, that's why.
And because you're a very flat character.
Selena dumped her little satchel on the ground, the books, and... oh, no, sorry, it's Am I So Blinded, not Why Am I So Blinded. The papers spilling across the stones, a shitty-ass satchel. It appeals so, Mort sang. The eye-shaped palmer was the exact size, ...
Of...
I think that...
the hole?
Yeah. It's a perfect fit. Like Cinderella.
Nice.
I'm thinking of a different Cinderella post, that's all I can say. Selena lifted the sword from its stand and unsheathed it. The ward marks on the blade.
So wait, she returned Damaris?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice
I
to know.
guess she took Graves' head down there, dropped off the sword, it came back.
Never washed during any of this time.
She rushed back to the wall.
She tripped, cut open her leg, hit her femoral artery, bled out while Mort laughed.
In case you didn't realize, said Mort, you're supposed to hold the eye against the hole in the wall and look through it. I know that, snapped Selena.
Oh my gosh.
Why is he helping her? I don't know.
I am like that too. It is like, Mort, just let her finish. Literally, there will never be any satisfaction in this book because we don't even get her to have her, like, go up to it and do it because she just got told.
Yeah.
Whether or not she knew, she just got told.
And so, not daring to breathe the entire time, Selena lifted the pommel up to the hole behind until both eyes were evenly aligned. She stood on her toes and peered in, and groaned. It was a poem. A lengthy poem.
Yeah, prepared for this, Tia?
Selena fished out a parchment and charcoal she stashed in her pocket and copied down the words.
She put the charcoal in her pocket?
Yeah. Darting to and from the wall as she read, memorized, double-checked, and then recorded.
Memorized?
Double-checked.
You don't need to memorize. It's short-term memory, buddy.
It was only when she finished the last stanza had she read it aloud. But see, this isn't actually in quotations, so I'm not going to read it like she's... Maybe I will.
You read it. You read it however you want.
By the vow, three were made of the great stone of the ward.
Oh my
obsidian,
goodness! 3 stones.
The obsidian the gods forbade, and stone they greatly filled.
So powerful stones. Okay. That the gods are concerned about.
In grief, he hid one in the crown.
Wait, something in a crown? I'm sorry. So, like, fair warning, I heard this poem yesterday, part of the poem. It just is... I'm sure Maas isn't intentionally referencing this, because I'm going to go out on a limb, say she hasn't read it enough to be like, yeah, I'll reference this.
Maybe she has, though.
She could have.
She could.
You know what? She could. I'm going to say she doesn't, though. It's just... so reminiscent of the Silmarils and what happens with them from the Silmarillion by Tolkien. Anyways, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Okay, continue. I'll stop there. I have been distracted by brindle markings on a horse picture because Tia thinks I am that distractible.
Hey, it worked, didn't it?
It did, but I already said I was done. You're just holding us up now. We're already 17 minutes into this. Mostly my fault. All right, read the poem.
In grief, he hid one in the crown of her he loved so well. To keep with her while she lay down inside the starry cell.
Okay, so wait.
So
that's something given to Elena in her tomb.
Yeah. The second was hidden in a mountain made of fire.
I'm assuming the eye of Elena.
Well, all men were forbidden, despite the great desires.
Lame ass poem.
Man, in a mountain of fire, despite their great desires. You couldn't have said despite their great desire it was hidden from them, and actually make it rhyme.
It's not a good poem.
Well, the third lies will never be told by voice or tongue or sum of gold.
By voice or tongue? Do they have, like, tongue speech that involves no voice? Or voice speech involving no tongue? Yeah, they do. I don't know what language that is. Ow! Sorry. That was funny. No, once you start using your chest to make the sounds, over. That's your voice. All right, continue.
Yes, I know.
Please get through that poem.
Yes, I know exactly where the third stone is.
Okay. Nice.
Selena shook her head. More nonsense.
Wow, could she be a little less haughty and be like, oh, that's nonsense.
And the rhyme with weird and field was off. Not to mention the break in the rhyme scheme and the final lines.
It called out the rhyme between which ones? Weird and filled?
Filled.
But not desire and
fires?
Desires and fire?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right, continue.
Since you clearly knew what the sword could be used to reach the riddle. Oh, since you clearly knew that the sword could be used to reach the riddle, she said to Mort, then why don't you save me some trouble and tell me what the hell this one's about?
He never does that.
Mort sniffed.
It never does that.
It sounds to me like it's a riddle giving the location of 3 very powerful items. She read through the poem again. Damn, he was right. But 3 what? Sounds like the second is hidden in a in a volcano? And the first and third ones, she gritted her teeth. Great stone at the wheel, ... What is this riddle for, and why is it here? Why have you already not thought about Elena? And the dawn starry sail has been pointed out that there's stars in this motherfucker, and she laid down. Blah, blah, blah.
To be fair, I didn't think about that until I heard it today. Yesterday when I heard it, I was like, yeah, whatever.
Well, I thought about that immediately.
Oh, well, you just didn't voice it.
I don't voice all of the things I think of.
Unlike me.
Isn't that the question of the millennia? Mort crowed as Selena walked back to the papers and books she scattered on the other end of the tomb. You'd better clean up the mess you brought down here, or I'll ask the gods to send some wicked beastie after you. Already happened. Cain beat you to it months ago. She replaced Damaris on its stand. Too bad
he said a wicked little beastie.
Too bad the Ritterrack didn't take you off the door when he burst through.
It's almost like Mort wasn't there.
A thought hit her, and she stared at the wall in front of her, where she'd once fallen to avoid being ripped apart. Who was it that moved the carcass of the Ritterrack? Princess Nehemia, of course. Selena twisted to look toward the doorway. Nehemia? Not. Mort made a choking noise and cursed his loose tongue. Nehemia was, Nehemia was here, but I only brought her to the tomb. ... Mort's bronze face gleamed in the light of the candle she'd set before the door. You're telling me that Nehemia came here after the Ritterrack attacked? That she knew about this place all along? And you're only telling me now? Mort closed his eyes.
Why would... Anytime Nehemia's like, oh, and you're only telling me now? Why didn't you tell me? Why do you expect him to ever tell you anything, okay? Like, nah.
Hey, did I have him... Oh, no, I found him. Mort closed his eyes. None of my business. Another deceit, another mystery. I suppose
but not a very good one.
I suppose if Cain could get down here, there were other entrances, she said. Don't ask me where they are, Mort said.
I'm just a door.
I've never left this door. She had the feeling it was another lie. He always seemed to know the layout of the tomb, and when she was touching things, she shouldn't be. And when she was touching things, she shouldn't be. Then what you saw you? Brannon just made you to piss everyone off? He literally did have a sense of humor like that. The thought of Mort actually having known the ancient Fey King made her quake inside. I thought you had powers. You can't just speak some nonsense words and have the meaning of a riddle be... You can't just speak some nonsense words and have the meaning of the riddle revealed to me? Of course not. And isn't the journey more important than the end? Like, he would know. He's stuck to this door his whole life.
He goes on no journeys. He is at the end.
No, she spat.
Wow, totally how Maas writes this book. No.
Spewing a concoction of courses that would have had curdled milk. Selena tucked the paper into her
Maas,
pocket.
come on, curdle my milk.
Yeah, curdle my milk.
Tell me what it is.
coward. She would need to study this. Motherfucker, dude. Mother. No, she spat. Mother trucko, this hurts like a butt cheek on a stick. Selena tucked the paper into her pocket. She would need to study this riddle at length. If these items were things that Nehemia was looking for, things that she'd lied about to keep secret, ... Selena might be able to accept that Archer and his friends were capable of good, but she certainly didn't trust them to hold an object with power that the riddle mentioned. If
Fair
they
point.
were
They're kind of incompetent.
Yeah. If they were already looking, then perhaps it was in her best interest to find the items before anyone else. Nehemia hadn't figured out that the eye riddle referred to Damaris.
Well, she didn't tell you.
But had she known what the 3 objects were? Maybe she pursued.
It's raining.
Oh.
It's raining, we got some wind.
But maybe she pursued the eye riddle because she was trying to find the objects before the king did. Oh, I can't wait to find out about the 3 MacGuffins.
The 3 MacGuffins? Do you know that they are MacGuffins?
No,
oh,
but
okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if they all were. The 3 Horcruxes, yay! The 3 plot devices, yay! The king's plans, M-. Had they
The king's plans are the real MacGuffin.
Things? Yeah. She picked up her candle and strolled from the room. Has the questing spirit seized you at last?
I sure hope so.
Not yet, she said as she walked by. Once she found out where the 3 items were, then maybe she'd consider finding a way to go after them. Even if the only volcanoes she knew about were in the desert peninsula, there was no way in hell the king would let her go off on her own for such a long trip. It's a pity that I'm attached to this door, sighed Mort. Imagine all the trouble you'll get into while trying to solve the riddle. He was right. And Selena walked up the winding stair. And as Selena walked up the winding stair, she found herself wishing he could actually move about.
Then so he could be your little go-getter, so you don't have to do anything, so you could replace Nehemia.
Then she'd at least have one person to discuss this with. If she did have to go hunt these things down, whatever they were, she'd have no one to go with her. There was no one who knew the truth. The truth, she snorted. What truth was there now? Okay, I gotta readjust. My back is hurting.
Whilst Tia readjusts, I must announce some news. We've been reading a little fic after... Well, I say it started yesterday. We've been reading a chapter of another fic after we get through our...
Another fic? You say as if this is a fic. We have been reading a bona fide quality fan fiction.
A bona fide quality fan fiction.
Called Kellying.
Some real critlit. Not critlit.
Critfic?
Lit fic.
Lit fic.
And we've only made it through one of the 5 chapters that's out so far. We are going to read another one today. But the 6th chapter is coming out in a few days. Just dropped by the author that it will be out in a few days.
Will you check the audio tones?
Oh, yeah, because you've rearranged. How you doing?
Selena slowed, the candle guttling in a damp breeze through the stairwell, and slumped into a step, bracing her arms on her knees. What else were you hiding, Nehemia? She whispered into the darkness. Selena didn't need to turn to know who sat behind her when something... Who sat behind her when something silver and glimmering shone in the corner of her eye.
Okay, so here's the thing. If that sentence had been reworked, it could have led to a little bit of suspense. For example, you could have said, someone sat beside her. There was this gleam. She knew who it was. It's just starting out by saying she knows who it is goes, all right, so it doesn't matter. You know who it is.
I thought you were too exhausted to come here, she said.
It's been a week, fool.
To the first queen of Ardaland. I can only stay for a few moments, Elena said, her dress rustling as she took a seat a few steps up from Selena. It seemed a distinctly unqueen-like thing to do.
It's because it was.
Together, they stared into the gloom of the stairwell.
Oh yeah, the staring well.
Selena's breathing the only sound. She supposed Elena didn't need to breathe, didn't make any sounds unless she wanted to. How much is left on this? Okay, I'm almost done.
You say that, it's gonna be like 50 minutes though.
Selena gripped her knees. What was it like? She asked quietly. What was it like? She
Dying?
asked quietly.
No, coming back.
Painless, Elena said with equal quiet. Painless and easy.
She definitely means waking up this morning.
Were you frightened? I was a very old woman, surrounded by my children and their children and their children's children.
I was a very
I had
old
nothing
woman.
to be afraid of when the time came. Where did you go? A soft laugh. You know I can't tell you that.
No, she doesn't. You're the only ghost she's ever talking to.
Selena's lips wobbled. She didn't die an old woman in her bed. No, she didn't. But when her spirit left her body, there was no more pain, no more fear. She is safe now.
Yes, but for the 3 hours before her spirit left.
Man, let me tell you, it was rough.
Also, interesting note here that we know that Elena died as an old woman, and yet she appears as a younger,
Yeah, God
beautiful
forbid
woman.
Gilf Elena show up.
Yeah. It's definitely picking that up, okay?
Hey, what about this? Hold on.
picking up the
Be
tapping.
quiet.
Yes.
Damn. The queen, Selena nodded. Elena's dress rustled again, and then she was on the step beside her, an arm around her shoulders. She hadn't realized how cold she was until she found herself leaning into Elena's warmth. The queen didn't say anything as Selena buried her face in her hands and wept at last. Section break.
Cathartic tears with your ghost mentor.
There was one last thing she had to do. Perhaps the hardest and worst of all the things she had done since Nehemia had died.
You really could have just said died.
She was killed.
Or killed. Since Nehemia died.
Was
murdered.
The moon was overhead, casting the world in silver. Even though they didn't recognize her in her current attire, the night watch at the royal mausoleum had stopped her as she passed through the iron gates at the back of one of the castle gardens. Nehemia wouldn't be entombed inside the white marble building, inside the white marble building, though. That was for a royal family. She walked around the dome building, feeling as if the wyverns carved into the side stared at her as she passed.
More wyverns, huh? Wyverns.
The few people still active at this hour had quickly looked away as she made her way there. She didn't blame them. A black dress and a shale, flowing black veil spoke enough about her grief and kept everyone at a long, long distance.
Is this one of the dresses that Paulina, what's her name?
Philippa? I don't have a P in it.
Bought today?
Yes.
Nice.
As though her sorrow were a plague. But she didn't give a damn what the others thought.
I don't give a
The
damn.
mourning clothes weren't for them. She rounded the back of the mausoleum and beheld the row of graves in the gravel garden behind it, the pale and worn stones illuminated by the moon. Statues depicting everything from mourning gods to dancing maidens marked the resting place of distinguished nobility Some so lifelike they seemed to be people frozen in stone. Some of them were, in fact.
Suspicious.
It had not snowed the night before Nehemiah's mortal, so it was easy enough to spot the grave.
Can you imagine someone who, like, turns people to stone and then is like, oh yeah, adorn the graveyard with those?
No, that was a necessary development, Beth. They ran out of room underground.
Oh.
So they've also ran out of room above ground, but they're making it do.
They're making it do.
They're just starting to make some really messed up furniture. Yeah, for this next couch, I'm going to need 7 people. So it was easy enough to spot the grave by the upturned earth before it. What does that have to do with it snowing? It had not snowed since before Nehemiah's mortal, so it was easy enough to spot the grave by the upturned earth. It seems like even if it snowed,
spot of dark earth,
you would have had upturned earth from her being dug down, or like a lump. Like, how quickly does the mound settle?
Yeah, there probably would still be a lump, but I think it's just saying you can see the dark earth. There's no snow on top of it.
Okay.
Put a pillow.
My toes are right up against the walls, and I just can't stop them from tippity tapping.
Put a pillow up. You're worse than the rain. That's also definitely probably getting picked up.
There were no flowers, not even a headstone, just fresh soil and a sword thrust into the earth
to keep her down.
One of the curved swords of Nehemiah's fallen gods. Apparently, no one had bothered to give her anything more, not when she would be retrieved and brought back to Elway. Selena stared at the dark tilled earth, a chill wind rustling her veil. Her chest ached, but this was the one last thing she had to do, the one last honor she could give to her friend. Yeah, never mind, I'm not going to say that. I'll say that off the mic.
Make sweet, sweet love to her grave?
It's what Nehemia always wanted, that's all I can say.
It is.
Selena tilted her head to the sky, closed her eyes, and began to sing. What are you, some elf?
What are you, some elf? Also, of course she can sing. Of course she can sing.
Section break. Section break my back. Kalal had told himself that he was only following Selena to make sure she didn't hurt herself or anyone else. But as she nailed the royal mausoleum, he followed for other reasons.
Because she'd be alone.
The night provided good cover, but the moon was bright enough to keep him back, far enough away so she wouldn't see or hear him approach. But when he saw where she had stopped and realized he had no right to be here, but then he saw where she stopped and realized he had no right to be here. He'd been about to turn away when she lifted her face to the moon and sang. It was not any language he had known, not in the common tongue.
Wait, did it really say any language he had known?
That he knew.
Oh, okay.
The dyslexia is getting to me. Not in the common tongue, or in Elway, or in the language of the Far Harrow, or the Medicende, or anywhere else on the continent. This language was ancient, each word full of power and rage and agony. She did not have a beautiful voice, and many of the words sounded like half sobs. The vowels stretched by the pangs of sorrow, the consonants hardened by anger. She beat her breast in time, so full of savage grace, so at odds with the black gown and veils she wore. The hair on the back of his neck stood as the lament poured from her mouth, unearthly and foreign, a song of grief so old it predated the stone castle itself. And then the song finished. Okay. Its end as brutal and sudden as Nehemiah's death had been. She stood there for a few moments, silent and unmoving. He was about to walk away when she half turned to him. Her thin silver circlet simmered in the moonlight, weighing down a veil so concealing that only he had recognized her.
I don't think so.
A breeze whipped past them.
It's dark. No wonder
I
he
thought
thinks
they
it's
said
concealing.
this veil was sheer.
Yeah.
They specifically said it was sheer.
Yeah.
A breeze whipped past them, making the branches of the trees moan and creak, setting her veil and skirts billowing to one side. "Selena," he pleaded. She still didn't move. Her stillness the only sign that she'd heard him, and that she had no interest in talking. What would he ever say to repair the rift between the... Oh, what could he ever say to repair the rift between them anyway?
The rift hold?
He kept information from her, even if he hadn't been directly responsible for Nehemiah's death. If either girl had been more alert, they might have had their own defenses prepared. The loss she felt, the stillness with which she watched him dash. It was all his fault. If the punishment for that was losing her, then he'd endure it.
Not very gracefully, though. I'm going to have to hear about it.
So K.R. walked away, her lament still echoing through the night around him, carried on the wind like the pealing of distant bells.
All right, my takeaway for this chapter, Maas once again stealing defeat from the jaws of victory. Do you know how much I would love to, have a book that, goes into detail about, mourning and, burial traditions in, a made-up culture? Taking inspiration from wherever, but, really goes into depth? Would love that. That's something I'm into. It's not going to happen here. We get to know that she's singing some, very powerful, guttural lament, but we don't have it connected to anything else. We don't get to know anything else about if that is just her singing this song because she wants to. Is it a tradition? In Terracin? We don't get to know any of this context, any of the social building for this stuff. So yeah, there's my takeaway from the last chapter, the last couple pages.
Okay, I have a takeaway, but I want to comment on best takeaway first. I actually think that this isn't a properly formed out song. I think it's just an expression of grief and rage, which everyone feels, which is why it's so old. Selena doesn't know some ancient song. This is just her being a human, supposedly.
Okay, but even if it was a culture that was we have this sounds we make to express our grief and
it's
rage.
not a cultural thing.
I know, but it's not. You've made me think of that. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, what's the weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth?
Yeah, the weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth and wearing of sackcloth and ashes.
Sackcloth. Burlap.
She could never put on sackcloth.
She could never put on burlap. Okay, so my takeaway is, especially with this ending scene, it seems like Maas likes, to me, it seems like Maas gets a scene idea in her head that she likes, like Selena being in this dress and howling and having the silver crescent and everything. It seems like she likes scenes and she just kind of stitches them together.
Oh, yeah.
Not very well.
Yeah.
And just thinking of other cases with balls and stuff where it's Selena's at this ball and she's in this really beautiful dress. It just kind of seems like that's a cool thing to think about. And it's just shoddily stitched together.
Good point. I like that. I had not considered that before. Yeah, I'll have to pay attention for that.
Anyway.
The rest of you will have to pay attention to that too.
Okie dokie. Pay attention to my butt. See ya.